Fear is sitting in your chest right now. You feel it every time you think about what you really want. Every time you consider making a move. Every time the opportunity appears and your body screams at you to stay safe. And you listen, you obey, you stay exactly where you are. That's why your life looks the same as it did a year ago. Fear has you frozen, and frozen men don't build anything. I am Thomas Shelby, and today I'll teach you how I killed fear before it killed me. Not how to feel no fear, that's impossible and stupid. How to move while carrying it, how to act when every instinct tells you to hide. Learn this and fear becomes fuel instead of chains. Listen carefully, this is how you become dangerous. Let me destroy a myth. There's no such thing as a fearless man. The men you admire, the ones who seem to walk through fire without flinching, they feel fear, every single one of them. Their hands shake, their hearts race, their minds scream warnings. The difference is what they do next. The coward feels fear and stops. The brave man feels fear and moves anyway. That's it. That's the entire difference between the man who builds an empire and the man who dreams about one from his couch. I've been terrified more times than I can count. In France, with shells falling and men dying around me. In rooms with enemies who wanted me dead. In moments where one wrong word meant war. Fear was there, always. But I learned something in those trenches that changed everything. Fear is information, not instruction. It tells you something is at stake. It tells you to pay attention. But it doesn't get to tell you what to do. That decision stays with you. The moment I understood that, the moment I separated what I felt from what I chose, fear lost its power over me. Let's get honest about your fear. You think you're afraid of failure, of loss, of pain, of real consequences. You're not. You're afraid of what people will think. Strip away the layers, and that's what's underneath. The fear of judgment, the fear of embarrassment, the fear of looking stupid in front of others. That's what keeps you paralyzed. Not danger, opinion. And here's what makes that tragic. The opinions you're so afraid of come from people who don't matter. People who won't remember your failure next week. People who are too busy worrying about their own image to care about yours. You're sacrificing your future to protect yourself from judgments that barely exist. Real danger is rare, the kind of fear that kept our ancestors alive. Fear of predators, of heights, of genuine threats to survival. You'll encounter that a handful of times in your life, if ever. But fear of judgment, that's constant. It's the background noise that stops you from speaking up, from starting, from risking, from living. I had to learn to separate them. When I feel fear now, I ask one question. Is this danger real, or am I just afraid of how I'll look? If the danger is real, I proceed with caution, strategy, preparation. If it's just judgment, I ignore it completely. Because a man who lets imaginary critics run his life is not a man at all. In France, I watched fear kill men faster than bullets. Not because they were cowards, because they froze. The shell would come screaming down, and instead of moving, they'd lock up, paralyzed, and then they were gone. The ones who survived weren't braver, they just moved. Even when their legs felt like stone, even when their minds screamed to stay hidden, they moved. I learned that fear has a window, a few seconds where it grips you completely, where the instinct to freeze is almost impossible to resist. But if you can push through that window, if you can force your body to take one action, any action, the spell breaks. Movement defeats paralysis. Action dissolves fear. That became my rule. When fear arrives, I don't wait for it to pass. I act immediately, before it can settle, before it can convince me to stay still. Speak before you can stop yourself. Step before you can retreat. Move before fear can finish building its case. The first action is the hardest, but once you take it, you realize something. You're still alive. The fear was lying. You could handle it all along. Here's how fear actually works. The first time you face something terrifying, it overwhelms you. Your body floods with chemicals designed to make you run. Every instinct screams danger. The second time, it's slightly less. Still uncomfortable, but survivable. The third time, less again. By the 10th time, what once paralyzed you barely registers. This is exposure, and it's the only real cure for fear. Not positive thinking, not affirmations, not pretending you're not scared. Repeated contact with the thing that frightens you, until your nervous system learns it won't kill you, until the fear response fades from a roar to a whisper. I've used this my entire life. The first negotiation with dangerous men, I was terrified, but I did it. And the next one was easier, and the one after that. Now I sit across from killers with a steady hand and a clear mind. Not because I was born brave, because I exposed myself to fear until it stopped controlling me. You can do the same. Whatever you're afraid of, conversations, rejection, failure, confrontation, the cure is contact, not once, repeatedly, until the fear loses its teeth. Start small if you have to. Take doses you can handle, but take them consistently, because fear grows in avoidance and dies in exposure. Let me make something clear. Acting despite fear doesn't mean acting without thinking. There's a difference between brave and stupid, between fearless and reckless. The brave man feels fear, assesses the situation, and moves forward with calculated risk. The reckless man ignores fear entirely, charges in blind, and gets destroyed. I'm not telling you to stop feeling fear. Fear is useful. It highlights what's at stake. It sharpens your attention. It forces you to prepare. The goal isn't to eliminate fear. It's to stop letting it make your decisions. When I walk into a dangerous situation, I feel the fear. Then I use it. I ask, what's the fear trying to tell me? What's the risk? What's the reward? What preparation can I make? Fear becomes a consultant, not a commander. It gives input. I make the final call. That's the balance. Respect the fear enough to prepare, but not so much that you never move. A man without any fear is a man who doesn't understand his situation. A man paralyzed by fear is a man who'll never change his situation. Walk the line between them. You think playing it safe protects you. It doesn't. It destroys you slowly. Every time you let fear win, you shrink. Your world gets smaller. The things you're willing to do, the risks you're willing to take, the life you're willing to live, all of it contracts. And that contraction compounds. A year of playing safe, and you've missed 100 opportunities. A decade, and you've missed a life. I've seen men arrive at old age having risked nothing. They have no scars, sure, but they have no stories either. No achievements, no memories of moments when they felt truly alive. They survived, but they never lived. That's the cost of letting fear run your life. Not a dramatic ending, a quiet disappearance. You don't crash and burn, you fade. I decided long ago that I'd rather have scars than emptiness. I'd rather fail spectacularly than succeed at nothing. I'd rather feel fear every day and push through it than feel safe and wonder what could have been. That's the trade. Comfort or meaning, safety or aliveness. Choose. Killing fear isn't a one-time event. It's a daily practice. Every morning, fear wakes up with you. It finds new things to whisper about, new reasons to stay small, new ways to convince you that today isn't the day. So every morning, you have to kill it again. Here's what I do. I identify the thing I'm avoiding, the conversation I'm putting off, the decision I'm delaying, the action that makes my stomach tighten. Then I do it first, before I can talk myself out of it, before fear can build its case. I don't wait until I feel ready. Ready is a lie. Fear tells you to keep you waiting forever. I act while I'm still scared, and every time I do, fear loses a little more power. That's the practice. Find what you're avoiding, do it immediately, repeat daily. Over time, you build a tolerance. Things that once paralyzed you become routine, and your capacity for action expands. The man who practices this becomes unstoppable, not because he feels no fear, because he's proven to himself 1,000 times over that fear can't stop him. Let me tell you what happens when you stop letting fear control you. Space opens up. The walls you've been living inside, walls you didn't even know were there, they fall away, and suddenly, life gets bigger. You speak when you used to stay silent. You start what you used to only dream about. You take risks that would have paralyzed the old version of you. And something else happens, something unexpected. Respect, from yourself first, then from others. Because you know what you're capable of now. You've proven it. You've walked through the fire and survived. That knowledge lives in your bones, and it changes how you carry yourself. Others sense it. That quiet confidence that comes from having faced fear and won. It's magnetic, it's rare, and it commands respect without asking for it. That's what waits on the other side of fear. Not comfort, something better. Aliveness, expansion, the knowledge that you're not a prisoner of your own hesitation. That's worth more than safety ever was. Now you understand. Fear isn't going away. It will be there tomorrow, and the day after, and every day until you die. The question is whether you'll let it run your life, or whether you'll learn to move with it riding on your back. So here's your mission. Find the thing you've been avoiding, the conversation, the risk, the action that makes your chest tight, and do it today, not when you're ready, now. Push through the window of paralysis, take the first action, prove to yourself that fear is a liar, and do it again tomorrow, and the next day, until fear becomes just another sensation, present but powerless. If someone you know is trapped by fear, frozen, shrinking, playing it safe while their life slips away, send them this. Share it with a friend who needs to remember that courage isn't the absence of fear, it's the decision to move anyway. Because the man who learns to act despite fear becomes something rare. He becomes free, and free men build empires.